The boy who refused to let go Eli was 14, but the streets had already stolen whatever childhood he might have had. He weighed less than the backpack he no longer owned. His lips stayed cracked no matter how much he licked them. And his hands were rough as bark from gripping cold metal dumpsters at night. Behind the city hospital, the brick wall cut the wind just enough to keep him alive. Sometimes a nurse slipped him half a sandwich through the side door. Sometimes the same nurse chased him off with a broom. He never begged. He just watched. That night the rain came down in sheets, hard enough to sting. Eli stood under the overhang by the emergency entrance, soaked to the bone, shivering so hard his teeth clicked. He wasn't waiting for anything. He had stopped waiting a long time ago. Inside one of the neonatal rooms, the machines had gone quiet except for the long, flat tone that ends everything. Noah Hargreave, 8 months old, son of billionaire Daniel Hargreave, lay still. Tubes ran from his nose, his mouth, his tiny chest. The monitors showed nothing worth hoping for. The lead doctor pulled off his gloves slowly, the way you do when you've run out of moves. "I'm sorry," he said. Time of death, 2117. Daniel Hargreave dropped. The man who owned skyscrapers and private jets folded in half on the linoleum floor, expensive suit wrinkling like paper. 6 months earlier he had buried his wife. Now the last piece of her was gone too. His sobs were ugly, animal sounds that didn't belong in a room full of machines. A nurse reached to silence the alarms. That was when Eli walked in. No one saw him at first. He was only a shadow in wet clothes. But Eli saw what the doctors missed. The tiniest twitch at the corner of the baby's mouth. A bubble. A flicker. "He's not gone," Eli said. Voice cracked from cold and disuse. The room snapped toward him. "Get security," someone barked. The nurse's hand was already on the switch. "No." Eli moved before anyone could grab him. He was fast the way starving things are fast. He scooped Noah into his arms, tubes pulling loose, alarms shrieking, and carried him to the sink like he was carrying something made of glass. He had seen his mother do this once years ago, when his baby sister choked on water, and everyone thought she was dead. He tilted Noah forward, just enough. Let lukewarm water run gently over the tiny mouth. Not rough. Never rough. "In Jesus' name," Eli whispered, tears mixing with rainwater on his cheeks. "Come back. Please come back." A cough. Then another. A weak, furious cry cut through the chaos like a blade. The room froze. The baby they had just pronounced dead was screaming. Doctors shoved past each other. Security grabbed Eli by the arms hard enough to bruise. But Noah kept crying, raw, indignant, alive. Daniel Hargreave looked up from the floor. His eyes found the boy in the dripping hoodie holding his son like he had been born to do it. Oxygen levels climbed. Heartbeat steadied. The monitors lied no more. They took Noah back, reintubated, restarted everything. But this time the baby fought. Tiny fingers curled. One eye opened, unfocused, searching. Eli stood in the corner shaking. Arms wrapped around his ribs, forming a puddle on the floor. No one knew what to do with him. Daniel walked over slowly, like he was approaching a wounded animal. "You saved my son," he said, voice broken open. Eli's answer was barely sound. "I just didn't want him to die alone." Later, when the doctors admitted they had no explanation, when scans showed brain activity that shouldn't exist, Daniel asked the only question that mattered. "Where's your family, kid?" Eli looked at his cracked shoes. "They're dead, Mom. My sister. I've been gone 2 years." Daniel swallowed. "You're not going back outside tonight. Or any night." Eli slept in a real bed for the first time in years. He woke up every hour waiting for someone to tell him it was a mistake. It wasn't. The news called Noah a miracle. Doctors wrote papers they later tore up. Daniel didn't care about explanations. He only cared that his son opened his eyes when Eli walked into the room. That Noah's oxygen sats climbed whenever that skinny boy sat beside the crib and sang the broken lullabies his mother used to sing. Months turned into seasons. Noah learned to swallow, then to smile, then to laugh, a sound like bells Daniel had forgotten existed. Eli learned to eat without hiding food under his pillow, learned to trust the light would stay on, learned that when Daniel said, "This is your home," he meant forever. One rainy afternoon when Eli was 17, The sky opened again, and the smell of wet concrete hit him like a fist. He froze at a crosswalk, knees buckling. Memory flooded back. Dumpsters, hunger. The night he thought he would die behind the hospital. Noah, 6 years old now, bright-eyed and fearless, saw it first. Eli. He slipped his small hand into his brother's shaking one. Breathe with me. They knelt together on the sidewalk while people stepped around them. Noah pressed his forehead to Eli's. Same as Eli had once done to him when machines screamed and hope was a lie. Breathe, Noah whispered. I've got you. Eli cried then. Hard. Ugly. Cleansing. That night he told Daniel everything he had never said out loud. The guilt of surviving when his mother and sister didn't. The terror that one day he would wake up and the bed would be gone. The food would be gone. The family would be gone. Daniel listened without interrupting. When Eli was empty, Daniel spoke the truest thing anyone ever said to him. You didn't save Noah because you were some angel kid. You saved him because you know exactly how it feels to be counted out. And you refused to let it happen to someone else. Years later, Eli worked night shifts in pediatrics. He wasn't famous. He didn't want to be. He sat with parents who were losing hope, held tiny hands when monitors flatlined, sang the same cracked lullabies in the dark. Sometimes a baby no one expected to make it through the night coughed, cried, lived. And somewhere in the city, Daniel Hargreave would smile quietly and tell anyone who asked. My sons taught me that miracles don't always come from heaven. Sometimes they come barefoot, freezing, and refusing to walk away.